Beloved brothers and sisters, I am bringing you closer and closer to truth. The truth says 1:3. It is the only thing that makes you free. Anything other than truth is bondage. Yes. Now, most of the time, we say, I belong to something. When you say that, it is untrue. Things belong to you, but you don't belong to anything. It is untrue. You see, when you say, I belong to something, it means that thing is a center and it holds you to it, or you hold yourself to it. So there isn't any center outside of you. The real you is the center, and all other things belong to you. Take your time and think about this, because that is the truth. I belong to makes what you belong to a center, and you hold on to that center. But there is no center other than the real you. So all other things belong to you. When you have the right realization, then you realize you are the center and all other things move around you. So, in fact, when you change the attitude, then you become very peaceful and empowered. For example, you are there and you dream. So the dream is your possession, but you don't belong to the dream. So you are there and you think thoughts. So thoughts are your possessions. You don't belong to the thought. It is the false thinking, false understanding. We understand that we belong to some things, but truly, you don't belong to anything. All the things out there become false gods. Anything you really give your attention to outside of you, you are worshiping false god. The attention must be within, and it is you, the real you. Then all these other things hover around you. So you are the center and all things move around you. Don't locate the center outside of you. That is what brings about false identity. It makes us draw boundaries, but the boundaries are fabrics. They are within the fabric of bondage. You see, a baby sees itself as a center, and all things, it extends to see all things, but it knows only itself, and all these other things hover around that child. So it is just an extension, and that extension is your possession because it comes from you, from within you. What you see, what you hear, all that goes on is your possession. And that is something to realize. When you don't realize this, then you give power to what is outside of you, and then you become powerless. People are weakened because they give power to things which are their possessions. If I draw a circle and I say the circle, I belong to that circle. You see, it's the beginning of bondage. The circle belongs to me. I drew it. Therefore, it's my possession. So from babyhood, we use our senses to extend. We extend through the senses, perceptions. And in this way, all that goes on comes from within us. So you are there before all things. You are there before your possessions came out. Look at it from this angle. You dream, and when you dream, there are three things: you, the dreaming process, and the dream objects, the dream itself. So you existed before the dreaming process and the dream itself, the dream objects. So you are the center, then the dreaming process, then the dream objects. So don't give power to the dream, give power to that which is dreaming. It is the reality which is dreaming. But we give power to objects of the dream. This whole thing we are seeing is a dream of the spirit. Therefore, the dream cannot be more powerful than the dreamer. Why? Because the dream is passing away, it's a temporary arrangement, it's a projection from inside. And it cannot be more powerful than the dreamer. The dreamer is the real you. And all that is being dreamt is secondary. But the tendency to make the dream so much of a reality more than ourselves, that is the false identity. Yes, anything you locate outside of you and you give all your attention to as if it is so great and even greater than the real you, you forget your real identity. That is why. All the so-called ills of society come about because of identifying beyond the reality, identifying things as centers. For example, sometimes we give so much attention to what we belong to the extent that that can lead us to hate others because they don't belong to what we belong to. But if you realize that you are the center and all things belong to you, whatever is external belongs to the real you, then the story changes. In fact, when you see another person, what you are seeing is false. What you don't see about that person is the reality in you which is inside a person. The same reality in you is inside a person. So when you realize you are the center, you experience it within the other person. It's the same you. This is something sometimes difficult for people because we've come so far away from that experience of truth. So the untruth has become truth. Anything that we put as a center is a false God. The true God is the one putting things into worshipable positions. We worship the body. The body is not you. We worship nations. The nation is not you. We worship societies. We worship religions. We worship books, certain books. Anything external to you is a false God. The true God is the one worshiping. Just as the dreamer is the truth, but the dream is untrue. You see, the dream is a dream, but the dreamer was there before the dream. Think about it. Take your time. Then all the hula baloo about belonging to, they are all false gods. Any, for example, religions, the real you, the real me, whatever name you mention belongs to you. So, for example, Christianity is mine. Mohammedanism or Islam is mine. But to say I am a Christian, in truth, is false identity, because in that wise, Christianity is the center and I am hovering around it or moving into it. But I existed before that. I am. Anything that you attach to it, the I is there before what you are. When you say, I am this, the I comes first and what you are comes next. So the I is superior. What you become or what you say I am came later. We empower things outside of ourselves, and it is false. It's part of the bondage system. It is not easy because people have been absorbed. It's an addiction. We are addicted to empowering things outside of ourselves. But as you empower the thing, where did the power come from? You the one empowering. You are the source of the power. Yes. Minus you, that thing has no power. You gave it power. And in this way, sometimes you watch a baby. The circles we draw, the baby is beyond the circles. Even initially, sometimes people say, oh, this is my enemy. But then, the baby doesn't know enemy. The person you call enemy, the baby will embrace. The circles you draw, the baby passes it. So when we come into this world and we haven't as yet drawn circles, we are more powerful, we are more original, we are more innocent. The circles of belonging to initiate the bondage. We draw imaginary lines and lo and behold, we hold on to it because that is the center and we belong to it. No, those things belong to you. You don't belong to. Very false. If you want liberation, this is it. When you attain liberation, you are a universal being, and all these circles drawn are absorbed into you. Brothers and sisters, don't you see that as a baby you grow up and then the first circle is drawn? My parents. The word mine is a possession. So I am there and I have possessions. Then it goes on with the first circle, then the next circle, my siblings. Then it goes on, my friends, my classmates, my townsmen, townsfolk. We are together. People of my district. Then we expand the circle. But don't you see, when even in your house, you have that circle, somebody in another house, he's outside your circle, and gradually, you include the person. Then they become your friends. Then you increase the circle to cover your schoolmates, townsfolk. You keep expanding. But when you form the circle, anything outside the circle, you have a different approach to it. If your townspeople are playing games against another town, you want your town to win, and the other town, no. Now when it becomes a district, you draw the circle bigger, and then those in your district, some of them may come from the other town, but they are in your district. And when they win against another district, that one, you embrace them. The very same persons that when you narrow the circle, you will be against them. When you open the circle, you are for them. Look, for example, about the problem. I want you to go beyond things like tribalism, because it is all false. That tribe, this tribe, my tribe. You don't belong to a tribe. A tribe belongs to you. They are part of your possessions. And therefore, other tribes they also belong to you. When you expand, then it covers everyone. In a country, see how false things are. In a country, people say, I'm this tribe, and somebody is another tribe. And we can look at these things with certain feelings. Now, on the national level, if somebody in another tribe wins for the country, immediately we have forgotten that that person is another tribe. Let's say there is a national team and someone from another tribe in the national team, he scores a goal. We jubilate because we've drawn the circle bigger, and it is the nation. Now, when we narrow the circle, then we say that person is this tribe, that person is that tribe. Is it not just some mental problem? If we actually expand the circle to cover a continent, then if somebody in another country in the continent wins, we jubilate. But when we narrow the circle to just your nation, that person wins and you are jealous. See? So we can expand the circle to cover the whole world, and anyone who wins something within the whole world, we jubilate. Yes, you're not jealous. So imagine we expand the circle to cover the whole universe. If somebody wins anywhere in the world, we jubilate. If something happens on the contrary against somebody, we all lament together. But it's not like, it's not within, you narrow down the circle and anyone who doesn't belong within it, that person is a non-entity. The real civilization, we become more civilized when we expand the circle unlimitedly. That makes us enter into what we call God. The true God has no circles. He's beyond all boundaries. If you place him in a boundary or in a certain circle, it is your limitation that you are pushing on him or her, because it's not even him nor is he her. And we say God, then we say he. Who told you? He's expanded beyond boundaries. That is why we call God. Boundaries are for the dreaming process, for the drama. That is where boundaries exist. So, all within our perceptions are part of the dreaming process. But the dreamer is God. So anytime you realize yourself outside of the dream, you've entered into your reality, which is God. If you see a person, you see an animal, what your perceptions are telling you are part of the dreaming process. But within that person, the reality which is there is not part of the things you are seeing. Because to really realize what is within the other, you realize it within yourself, and it's an expanded presence which is also within the other person. And it's an amazing experience, which is the truth. And I want you realize this, and your life will be different. You'll be so free. If the villager that we call villager, if he is all embracing, that is the civilized person. But if we live within all kind of things, and we are dreaming all those kind of things, we can lose touch with the reality within ourselves. And that is the opposite of civilization. Yes. Beloved brothers and sisters, yes. Beyond tribalism is closer to truth. Beyond circles like I belong to, no. They are all false. The I was there before the other things. Therefore, the other things belong to you. Think about it. Thank you.